I'm tuning in and translating the current energies for the Divine Feminine. It is Friday, and on Fridays I do a little bit different reading. This is a new layout that I was guided to generate. So you're going to see it coming out in its first version, and this is exciting. So I'm tuning in, I'm feeling the energies. I am an empath, I'm also an energy healer, so I'm feeling these energies in my body. I'm feeling them in my energy centers. I have a 12 chakra energy field. And so I'm just going to focus on the current of the Divine Masculine today in her relationship, in sacred union, and where she is within herself in the Divine Feminine in relationship to Source. And we'll get into the Divine Masculine, perhaps later in the reading, perhaps not. Now I'm just going to allow myself to be intuitively riding the waves of energy. So welcome to my channel, and thank you for watching. My name is Anaiis, and I'm not a traditional tarot reader. I don't channel. I do read and translate energy, and I'm able to read those energies and translate those energies into language or into straight transmission and broadcasting. So when I do a reading, this is a combination of both, and as you're watching the reading, you may also feel an energetic connection. So let's begin. I'm excited about this, and this is a really interesting combination of energies today, because for those of you who are in the Divine Feminine and in the collective, in your individual sacred union journeys, you have been feeling some potent shifts today, and we're moving into a bit of a retrograde, and I'm actually feeling that in my energy system. There's a kind of a drag, kind of a pull, and it does feel a little bit like it's wanting to pull me backwards towards the from my central bliss channel, which I try to keep centered and relaxed. The retrograde energy is kind of wanting to kind of pull me back, and when I feel that, I realize that I'm being pulled off center, and that there's an energy that's trying to pull me more into the will alignment of my energy field, personal will. And I'm not going to allow that movement. I'm going to choose consciously, because I am conscious about energy, I'm going to choose consciously to remain centered in my central bliss channel as we continue on with this communication and transmission and broadcast. So I am on a sacred union journey. I transitioned to 5D fully 3 years ago, and have been integrating all the various accelerated shifts and changes that are part of that journey. So I do understand what we feel when we are, quote, purging. I prefer the word purification. We're purging, we're purifying, and in that process of purifying, we are releasing and also transmuting anything that is in our soul, spirit, source, divine template that doesn't belong there. And we have many, 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 many layers, and even specific structures and implants that don't belong in our divine template. And it's really, 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 really challenging work to clear all of this out of your divine blueprint, so that, especially as a divine feminine, you can reclaim your star fire. And I'll be doing a video on star fire probably early in July, because we are going to be doing our Sacred Union webinars on my Patreon page. So this is the layout that I have been instructed to begin with, and I'm using the Spirit Animal Oracle from Colette Baron Reed, and I'm also using Oracle of Mystical Moments by, let's see, Catherine Feldstein. It's an amazing deck. Very archetypal, very tuned into imagery that we find in the dream state. So it's a wonderful deck to use. As we are in our divine feminine energy, we are holding the strength, the power, the intelligence of direct experience. And as such, we are being called in our journey, in our process, in our clearing, in our purification, in our purging, to allow our energy to function from the basis of the heart chakra energy as direct experience, direct connection, bypassing ego, bypassing mind, bypassing the mental body, and bypassing what we have been conditioned to believe is necessary as rational logic. This is really a challenge for many of us feminines, because we can feel the tug of war that goes on inside us, the conflict when we want to drop into our intuition and just come directly from a knowing. And many of us in feminine bodies who are also very much aligned with the divine feminine energy, we do just know. And so if you've been in a situation where you've been in an old paradigm, traditional relationship, perhaps married, or perhaps in what's defined as a committed relationship, you will know if you're being sexually intimate with your partner, you will absolutely know when the boundaries of the relationship, as you have an agreement with your partner, you'll know when those sexual boundaries have been violated. You will know it. And very often this is a dynamic between men and women, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any gender at all. You will know when you're plugged into your intuition, no matter what your gender. If you are directly connected to Source and you're working more from your divine blueprint than from all of the overlays, you will know. I have very heightened high sense perception, and I don't want to go into that, but I want to just affirm that we all do have the channel within us for direct experience and direct knowing. And one of the reasons that I'm doing my intuitive card readings this way is to support the entire collective in this transition from ego mind to heart. And in the heart connection, we are at 0 point energy, moment to moment, connected to divine, connected to Gaia, and we know what it is we're about. We know what it is we need to do. And for many of us, we're really starting to have the fun and excitement of coming into our mission. And we're doing this whether or not we have connected yet with our external, physical, masculine, divine counterpart in the body. And I do want to affirm that this is not necessary, divine feminines, for you to fully live your life purpose. It's not a requirement. The connection, the energetic connection to the divine masculine and the balance within you is necessary. And your direct connection to Source is necessary. But given the state of the divine masculine, and my God, she's catching up fast, I'm going to encourage you not to wait to begin taking the steps that you can take to go into your mission work, as some people refer to it, your major co-creative projects, as I like to describe them, and get yourself poised, ready, and going. Go forward. Go forward. You have the full support of Source. You have the full support of Gaia. Now, I will also share with you, it's been my experience over the last 3 years as I've been really deeply, deeply immersed in this journey, and boy, what a journey it is. Being completely cleared out. The other thing I want to share with you, Divine Feminines, is when you do connect with your Divine Masculine counterpart at the energetic level, a process will begin for you where all of your past intimate sexual connections from all of your relationships will be removed and purified, and they will go back into your store of starfire energy. This is really demanding, so if you're a feminine energy, doesn't matter what body type you're in, if you have had multiple partners, casual sex, you have been exploring and experimenting with your sexual energy in ways in which you're not using it as a conscious co-creator, all of that has to be cleaned out. All of it. And your Divine Masculine energy is going to make sure that happens. And what's going to happen is he's going to continue to bring soul life, past partner relationships in front of you. He's going to really, that's the sense of the energy where I'm at now. So we're really clearing out our past life relationships very quickly. We're resolving the ones that are part of our soul group, and we are completing and dissolving all the patterns that are related to patriarchal and other destructive energies, overlays that have been damaging to our soul group. Now, if you haven't come into your soul group yet, if you haven't met these people, if you're not consciously aware of who they are, that hopefully will come for you. It makes all of this so much easier because you then have the power and support and love of a committed mini collective, all of you working together to come into sacred union within yourselves with Source. And then for those of you who have chosen the path of being with a committed sacred union partner, and this does not necessarily imply a marriage or dating or living together, although it might, you really do have so much more information and support available to you when you're connected with your soul group. So I do hope you'll watch our first webinar on my Patreon page, which will be coming up in July. Sacred Union, we will be doing these webinars on that platform. Okay, so let's go into this reading, and we're going to go through this kind of step by step and card by card, and I'm going to share with you that the first card that is the basis, the central energy of this reading today for Divine Feminine Collective is this information and energy coming from Source. All is connected. And so this is going to be at the center of the reading. And we know we have come into, if you've come into your 5D consciousness, you are actively, my soul group and I call it the weaving process, where we've been gifted with this gigantic loom. And we have all of these wonderful opportunities to now begin to practice weaving very complex energy patterns as conscious co-creators. And so we are aware that all is connected. And what happens is, when our overlays and the patriarchal overlays spark and we're triggered, we lose our connection, we lose the information. We can just kind of fall off of our path for 30 seconds or an hour or several days or even weeks. And in some instances with sacred unions, the process has taken more than 20 years, which when you think about it is a really clear indication of how much the energetic overlays of the 3D construct have gotten in the way of human beings finding and falling into and living and experiencing their wholeness, understanding and having a conscious relationship energetically with all of their subtle bodies, with Source, with their divine blueprint. So this is really big, and I will say to you that especially when we go into retrograde energy, which has to do with a system, a school of thought, astrology, that in itself is a patriarchal overlay. And I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers saying that, and that's okay. I'd like all of us to try to be open. And this is something that came as a really profound aha and a moment of awakening for me several years ago. And I've never been big on astrology, but I thought it was interesting, and I knew a little bit about it. I knew what my sun sign, risings, moon, etc. But I never really felt that it was the determining factor of what was going to unfold in my life. And this is the reason that I don't do traditional tarot or astrological readings, or combine tarot and astrology. Those are both overlays that have to do with kind of keeping our mental bodies and our emotional bodies operating in a very narrow range of experience. Because we're not directly connected to Source, we don't get the information coming from within, and our spirit, soul, oversouls know that we need to have at least breadcrumbs to follow. And that's what we get in the three-dimensional construct, breadcrumbs. So when we come into 5D and when we're actively engaged in our sacred union journey, we move, we shift from explanation, which is what happens in astrology and in tarot reading. We shift to direct experience, which is, how do I open up the channels within me so that I can simply get quiet, take a few breaths, go into meditation, perhaps journal, find a way to access our central bliss channel within, and to access the 0-point rhythms of returning, coming in and out of our connection to all of creation in nanoseconds, faster than nanoseconds, so that we can feel where our direct experience is calling us and inviting us into more and more expanded and deep and clear and purified direct experience. This is so different from channeling. I wish I could share with you the physical experience of channeling. I was invited to be a channel many, many years ago, and I refused that invitation because I didn't want another entity coming into my field and having me not be driving my own car, so to speak. So, no shade for those people who like to think of themselves as channels. It's part of the overlay system, and it's actually part of how we continue to have breadcrumbs placed before us. Now, when you're dealing with channeling, the breadcrumbs look like a banquet meal, but in actuality, energetically, they're not. So, there I'm ruffling some more feathers, and that's okay. So having laid out that context, experiential context for you, coming from a 5D love and above perspective, I'm going back to this card. All is connected. All is connected. And this divine feminine she is rooted, she's connected to Gaia, and she is very delicately and very lightly holding on to the part of the web of life, the morphogenic field we would call it now, that she sparks and that she receives spark from. She's beginning, more and more of us are beginning to share our starfire with the morphogenetic field. Okay, so the way that we're going to go through this journey together is in a spiral formation. And we are going to, first we are going to go this way, which we could consider a clockwise direction. And this is the flow in 0 point energy of the electric reaching out, the dynamic energy of co-creation. And then we'll probably go in the reverse spiral, which is the corresponding spiral of the magnetic. But we're going to begin, and using the spirit animal oracle cards, we're going to begin and we're going to go this way first. This is a long reading, and this is what I'll be doing on Fridays, so you have time to watch it perhaps over your weekend and think about it and experience it. And you won't have to rush through it. And you can always stop and start the videos. I do that all the time when I watch longer readings. They are often very, very valuable. All right, so we're going to begin with giraffe spirit. And giraffe spirits see the big picture. And when we're all connected, what we begin to do is to see more and more of the big picture, because as our 12 chakra system opens and matures and is finally allowed to function the way it's intended, we have the ability to zoom in and zoom out, see the big picture, see the microscopic picture, which even allows us to travel in and out of our bodies, in and out of our cells, in and out of our DNA. We want to make sure we have the capacity experientially to expand our consciousness, expand our awareness, so that we can see the big picture. This is very important for the divine feminine, because we are the ones who are, in terms of a time sense, usually leading the sacred union journey by just a wee bit. The divine masculines are following our lead. And if we can't see the big picture, we're not able to communicate that big picture to them energetically and present them with the free will, heart choice to choose to follow and go into the direct experience with us. Now this card is number 29, and that comes to an 11, so I do consider this to be indicative of sacred union energy, looking at the 1-1, which I do feel is a valid energy, understanding the energy dynamics within the sacred union. And you'll see that this card, all is connected, is a 12, which is really wonderful when we think about our 12 chakra energy system, our ability to bring our frequency up so that we're conscious and aware in 12-dimensional reality, and that's a stretch, but it can be done. And this also breaks down to a 3, which for me is indicative of the divine union, source, divine feminine, and divine masculine. That is the holy co-creative trinity. Has nothing to do with reproducing bodies. Okay, so all is connected. See the big picture. Next we have groundhog spirit, which is time to let go. And I think there's another message here, which is let go of time. The sacred union journey operates in a fluid time stream. We move with ease from future to present to past to future to present to past to future to present. And those who are in our soul groups and working together, as this happens with my soul group, we had an entire year where we were quantum leaping together. And those quantum leaps happened in 3D reality, and those are incredible stories which we'll share in our upcoming webinars. And they were direct experiences of quantum leaps. And so we had our own very clear, very vivid personal understanding of what was described as the Mandela effect. So Groundhog Spirit, time to let go of time. All right? You can think about how that applies to you in your situation as a divine feminine. One of the things that I think is important to consider when we're transitioning to 5D consciousness, and when we're using tools like tarot and astrology, is perhaps as we're reaching more and more purification and expansion, it's time to let go of relying heavily on that information. We want to find out and have the direct experience. And also, one of the things that's challenging, and I've really been doing my own research on this extensively before I even took up this this activity, I'll call it, of intuitive reading, is understanding with the patriarchal overlays and inside the state of separation that we all have been living in inside the 3D construct. We are, again, we're pushed with just a 7 chakra energy field. You wouldn't know what else to do. We are pushed to focus on the other. When we focus on the other, when you are gnawing on the bone of why haven't I heard from who I think is my twin flame, when you're gnawing on that bone, you are not focusing on your own journey. And you really do have to really, really practice daily, 24/7, seeing the speck in your own eye, in your all-seeing eye, and taking care to remove the speck from you. And very difficult to do if you are focusing your energy on your sacred union counterpart, and you're doing it in such a way as you're not asking your sacred union counterpart, in this moment where I am focusing on you, I am seeking mirroring information for me so that I can grow and expand and find that beautiful whole state of unconditional love within myself. I am focusing my energy on you because I need your mirroring help with this today. Now, when we are asking from that place, and then you go and you look at your sacred counterpart's astrological sign, or you go and do whatever you do around all of this, including watching this video, that's a different kettle of fish, because you are coming from the intention of getting more information. This is what you're seeking. You're seeking information in language. You're seeking information as energy. And what you're trying to do is find out what you need to, quote, know emotionally, energetically, intellectually, to be able to be in a really balanced, clear, loving relationship with yourself and with your source. All right, next we have Grasshopper Spirit. What a fun energy is in this card, and the message is take a leap of faith. Absolutely. So when we're looking at letting go of what I just described to you, it's going to require an enormous leap of faith on your part. And where you find the courage to make that leap of faith will be in your heart chakra, and also in your root chakra, and also in your crown chakra. Now those are really the 3 energy centers that they're the only ones that you need to function in 3D reality. Root, heart, and crown. The third eye is icing on the cake. It's helpful to see the big picture. And most of us, as we become centered and awake and aware in the relationship in our central bliss current between root and heart and crown, the third chakra, the third eye opens up organically. Organically. And it's your natural birthright to have that. Now, that's if you're visually inclined. If you're someone who is kinesthetic and your touch senses are more activated, then trying to open your third eye to see energy will be really an exercise in frustration for you, because your organization of your energy field is meant for you to feel energy. Similarly, there are those among us who the way that we experience shifts and changes and information coming into us energetically is through sound. Okay, I just want to share that with you. So it's important for you to become aware, Divine Feminine, of how you interact with your own energy field and how you bring direct experience information into your conscious awareness. So yes, when we undertake this Sacred Union journey, it's an incredible leap of, I would say, this is faith, but I would use the word trust. And in order to make the leap from faith to trust, that requires courage, and you're going to find that in your heart chakra. Allowing you to love yourself, to forgive yourself, to be compassionate with yourself, and then simply allowing that to flow through you. And this will begin your journey of moving from faith to trust in your experiential reality and your connection to Source. Okay. Next we have Ant Spirit, which is time to collaborate. And we are, each of us, understanding every puzzle piece. This is part of the purging and clarification. So we know what are the puzzle pieces that when we begin to work in co-creative collaboration, what's the co-creative living reality puzzle that's part of our life purpose. And then we have the opportunity to move freely and fluidly in all kinds of deeply loving and appreciative and supportive co-creative relationships with other people who are waking up or who have been waking up or who are fully awakened and are a little bit ahead on their timeline and can support us as we move along our timeline to becoming fully conscious co-creators. So, time to collaborate. And this is really important for the Divine Feminine, because one of the overlays with the patriarchal masculine energy that's been dominating the 3D construct is we have, not only do we have to purify self-hatred in ourselves as part of our shadow work, but we also have to purify envy and discord between ourselves and other Divine Feminine women who are awakening. Jealousy plays no role in 5-dimensional experience. It plays no role. So if you have a history in your life of having a jealous mother or a jealous sister, or you're the jealous mother or the jealous sister or the jealous friend, this is a really important clue for you about the shadow work that you're going to need to do. And if you're interested, you can check out the Patreon page. I offer a Wisdom Body course which will take you through one of the earliest primary emotional wounds for all humans, but for women in particular, which is rejection, abandonment, and how that creates the functional ego overlay of a jealous personality. Okay, so time to collaborate. Once you've got your puzzle pieces worked out, you are organically going to begin to meet other people, like-minded, at your frequency level, frequency match, that are going to want to collaborate with you. And the important thing to do when you're collaborating from your own original divine co-creative blueprint and you're meeting others in that space You're going to always expand so you can see the big picture. That's working with your crown chakra. You're going to expand your root chakra and work so that you can collaborate with all of the elementals that are here in the earth plane for us to work with. Earth, fire, water, and air. They're all part of the co-creative collaboration. And then you're going to know when you begin to do this work and collaborate as a co-creator, you're going to really begin to have a direct experience of when it's time for you to let go and know that you don't have to manage or control every detail of the collaboration. That you see the big picture, but aside from that, you are operating energetically inside the big picture, which already knows what it is that is going to be co-created, and you've been invited into that by the picture that is bigger than even you in your earth body personality. So let's just appreciate that relationship, divine feminines, and many of you are already happily enjoying these relationships, and there are workshops and there are opportunities where awakened women are coming together to share their knowledge and their experience and to ignite other women into reclaiming their starfire. So, okay. Moving on, we have Beaver Spirit. And the message here is laying a solid foundation. Laying a solid foundation as a conscious co-creator is about your personal work. You are the solid foundation. So attending to your shadow work, attending to being able to drop into your heart energy with a single breath to access 0 point. These are all important skills for you as you're laying your solid foundation. And I will say to you, I have been doing both, well, let's just start with the personal work and purification. I've been doing this every day, literally 24/7, because I continue to do it in dream time. I've been doing this every day for, it'll be, this year, it will be 30 years. It was 30 years in March. So, this is our absolute daily work. It is as important to us to do every day as is breathing. Okay? So, laying a solid foundation is part of the contribution that you make to your conscious co-creations that are your mission. Divine feminines know that we have a particular purpose. We have something that is meant for us to do. We are the unique expressions of that creation, co-creation, and we take responsibility for laying a solid foundation. Now, when we're laying a solid foundation, this may mean that the overlays and the unnatural foundations that many of us have been coerced into in the three-dimensional construct, those foundations are going to have to go. And that can make for some difficult and challenging times. And when that happens, you'll know, because you will become highly emotional, you will become emotionally probably a little volatile, and your thoughts and thinking will become confused, and your physical environment will begin to reflect to you that you are taking down one foundation, clearing the way so that you can build another. That can be things like suddenly your car dies, or you lose your job. I mean, these can be really big moments when we are replacing our foundations. Some of us, as we move through this sacred union process, are learning to do this more gently and more gradually. So we take out one brick from one foundation and we set it aside for recycling, and at the same time we are checking in on the new foundation that we're laying, and we're checking to see if the cement is dry and whether or not we can actually recycle our own bricks. and reuse the solid and good construction materials and bring them into our new foundation. And this is a very deliberate and careful process. Journaling, keeping a journal, and keeping especially track of your dreams, if you're someone who remembers dreams, this is a very, very important part of keeping track of where you are in the process of laying a solid foundation for your mission work as the Sacred Union Divine Feminine counterpart. Okay, so that's Beaver Spirit. Next we have Turtle Spirit, and this is 62. This breaks into an 8. And for those of you who are interested in numerology, and Turtle Spirit, the message is slow and steady wins the race. And when we are in this beautiful spiral of communication and energetic transmission with ourselves and with other people, and we let go of time as being fixed and rigid, we realize that just as we have the possibility to be dynamically intentional in our expansion, we can also be intentionally dynamic with contraction. And contraction means that we can adapt our subtle energy bodies so that when we need to amp down the energy to slow and steady, we do this without feeling restricted, confined, or limited. And that is one of the most beautiful skills that Divine Feminines are working on. And I would say that that's part of the dynamic that we're working on with the energy currents today. Turtle Spirit, slow and steady. And I know, I know the feeling of what it's like when we are resisting slow and steady, because it can begin to feel like stasis. And the feminine, divine feminine energy is not accustomed to stasis. She's all about growth and expansion and movement and essence and flowing, very dynamic energy. So I would say that this is what we can learn to consciously adapt to within our own organic nature, so that we are able to match frequencies with our divine masculines when they need us to recognize, or they even ask us to go slow and steady. And this is also important for us because if we rush into dynamics with people that we think may be our twin flame or our divine masculine counterpart, both parties may want to go rushing ahead only to find out that they've gotten themselves stuck in some kind of quicksand because they didn't take the time to get to know each other and to develop the kind of intimacy today between partners that is incredibly difficult to establish, define, establish, and maintain. Intimacy requires slow and steady interplay between partners. It does not, let me repeat, it does not, intimacy does not include texting or sexting. So if you're a divine feminine in sacred union on the journey and you are engaging in texting and sexting communications with potential partners, you're making a grave mistake. There is no energetic context in that kind of communication, and there's a devaluation of your divine sacred sensuality when you're texting. And I've never seen it because I don't know anyone who operates at that frequency level, but I understand that people actually do share images of their private parts and their sacred sensuality, receptive, and I just don't even know what words to use for that. Thank God I've never seen it. Wow. So there we go, and somebody has to say these things, and I find that in the communities we're all very much still carrying the overlay of being afraid to speak, and this includes asking questions and really making clear statements about where we're at with our boundaries and with our awakening frequencies. So turtle spirit, slow and steady, building of intimacy, building of friendship, building of power sharing, building of recognizing unique talents, skills, and abilities. All right, turtle spirit will allow you to do this. Okay, and now we're going to go in the opposite spiral direction here, and we're going to have an anchoring card here, and this relates back to the message from Source, all is connected. And the core message from the Divine Feminine today, knowing that all is connected, we are trusting and courageous enough to allow our energy currents to always flow in new, solid directions. Okay. So we're going to begin with this card. The name of the card message is Lorelei, and if you're familiar with ancient stories, we know that the Lorelei were a group of sirens and women who would accumulate on rocks out in the oceans, and they would use sound to attract men in sailing ships. Those were the days when only men were on those ships. And they would attract them to their little enclaves and crash the ships and then have access to the men. Now you can see here that this beautiful feminine energy is both a creature of the water, she's part fish, and she's human. And yet she is able to operate on land. And you can see that she's holding not only a rope, but a rope with an anchor. And she is going to bring this ship in, and she may drop the anchor here if she decides that this is an energy, information, direct experience that in her discernment she's going to choose to allow to anchor into the foundation that she's building, or to anchor into her energy field. So I love this card because to me this card represents active discernment. Recognizing that we are empowered to discern and to choose, and we are able to use the wonderful experience of compare and contrast to decide whether we want to anchor an experience, a person, an opportunity, an offer, or situation into our lives, onto our sacred feminine islands of transformation. All right, that's Lorelei. Now, next, we have the art of seduction. And for me as a reader in this deck, this is the card of the divine feminine in union with her divine masculine. This is the divine feminine and the divine masculine in union from the divine feminine side, because she is reaching out to him and bringing her energy to him. Now, I think this is interesting that this sort of found its way to the turtle spirit card, where we just talked about slow and steady, and how, because the divine feminine is usually leading, she's the leading magnetic energy for the Sacred Union journey. sometimes she needs to go slow and steady and to have patience and allow her divine masculine to find his way on his own path, to interweave his path with hers. And part of what we do in a divine feminine energy is we make space for that to unfold. And so that's part of the current energies today. It's just simply allowing your divine masculine. He's in his own process. You know, he's doing his own purification and detoxing and awakening. And he's, generally speaking, the divine masculine, no matter what body he's in with genitalia, is following the lead of the divine feminine. Now they're closer in time than ever, but there's still a slight delay. Okay. So be patient, be trusting, decide what you're going to anchor in your experience, discernment and boundaries, and make them clear. Express them clearly to your divine masculine. I love this because it's like she's saying in his ear, darling, let me be clear about where I am on this issue. Let me be clear about where I am on this issue. And she's telling him with love and compassion and with sweetness and gentleness. And this is wonderful. This is really what we have to be willing and able to do, unapologetically. And discover the deal breakers. If you're not going to respect the boundaries that I have in place to honor and respect my feminine energy and my starfire, well, then we'll go back into separation. Okay. Next we have liberty. And I feel this is a beautiful a kind of an image for the divine masculine in himself, having his inner feminine coming to meet him inside of himself, so that he, when he meets his external feminine, isn't frightened of her, knowing that he needs to be at liberty to find his own way to recognize her. She's going to help him with that. But he has to wake up to who she is. He has to know who she is and recognize her. And in order for that to happen, he needs to have his liberty and freedom to be able to awaken to his own direct experience. And here you see in this card, the bird is absolutely being fed by the divine feminine starfire and is coming out of its cage, which for me symbolizes the divine masculines just open the cage to come out of the patriarchal overlay systems that he's been in for eons here in this particular dimension. And he is going to allow himself to be moved and to be fed and to be nourished and to be comforted and to find, he's going to have the liberty to discover his own wholeness. And it is going to be the divine feminine energy within him that is helping him to have this experience. So when you hold your divine feminine energy in balance and in trust with yourself and doing your own work, this automatically gets transmitted to your sacred union partner. There is nothing that you feel that he won't feel. There is nothing that he's going to feel or think that you won't feel or think. And so as we're on this journey, we're learning to recognize when this is happening. And then we're developing the skills to take that information and work with it consciously and wisely and compassionately. Now that's come on with Beaver Spirit as part of laying a solid foundation. This is really important. All right. And then next we have Home in the Sky. And this has come out with Ant Spirit. And this is time to collaborate. And where we're collaborating from when it comes to our mission is from the information that we have in our divine blueprint, which we could consider to be our spiritual foundation. So when we're ready to collaborate, we are always touching base back to our home in the sky with our spiritual self, with our soul, oversoul, with our multidimensional self, which we are endeavoring to incorporate and integrate into our physical bodies. But that's a long process. In the meantime, allow this information to come down to this level so that you're able to collaborate in a conscious co-creation with your sacred union partner. And this is the information that is always going to be connected to source. Okay. We're going to continue. Hopefully the sound is better. I have turned off my air conditioner temporarily. Now, next we have the Red Garden card. This is such a beautiful card. It's one of my favorites. It is a number 8 for those of you who are interested in the numerology and perhaps can't see the card. And this has come out in support of the Take a Leap card. And you can see the color echoing here. And the grasshopper has a red crown. He's wearing a red crown, he or she. And our divine feminine energy here, divine feminine, is got a beautiful red corona around her. And she's surrounded by soft pink and heart chakra colors. This is a lovely card. And this is just saying that divine feminines, you are able to be grounded enough. You can see her feet are grounded. You are able to ground the energy of taking the leap of faith and moving into trust with the divine sacred union energies. And you're going to keep moving, hold steady, continuing to follow the experiential impulses that come through your intuition to be able to bring your energy into balance and to keep it in balance within the union, knowing that in any relationship there are ebbs and flows, there are starts and stops, and there are short, medium, or long separations as we are growing and becoming more aware of who we are, and we're better able to express ourselves consciously. Now, one of the difficulties of being the divine feminine energy, being the magnetic energy, I've encountered this in so many women who've been in my workshops and in retreats. And it has to do with the difficulty of being able to not only speak their truth, but to create the language bridge between feeling their truth, knowing their truth, and being able to find the words that accurately express the truth that they know is unfolding within them. So I have worked with many, many women who have familial, ancestral, emotional issues that make their speaking out terrifying to them. And also that these are women who have been discouraged early in life from being supported in expressing their opinions. So this is, for me, a reminder that also as divine feminines, we need to take our energy and allow it to be focused and to take the time we need to feel, to find the words. We do need to feel, but we also do need to find the words. And while we can hope that other people will feel the energies that are being broadcast from us, they may need the words. And some divine masculines need the words. They need you to express to them explicitly not just implicitly what you need, want, and are aware of. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so the video was interrupted because my camera ran out of battery juice, and I thought it would be challenging to pick it up, but I now see the reason why that happened. I had missed one connection here, and so now we're going to make this connection, and that is between Groundhog Spirit, which is a number 4, and it's time to let go, and this number 39, which is a 12. My home is my castle. And for me, this also reflects the energy that we will often see in the 1111 tarot card, which is that of creating a home, a happy home, and family life. So this is the divine feminine holding the potential in sacred union to remember that her home is her castle, and that this is a place that she will share, that she will invite the divine masculine into her castle and into her body when all of who she is being honored and respected. Now you'll notice that she is carrying this castle on her back. So creating a life, a reality that brings forward this kind of physical, tangible, material objectivity can be a burden. And it does come through our will. We use our will centers. We combine will, emotion, and intellect to formulate and to co-create. But here you can see she is holding her home in her hand. Now in this, she is more in her, I would say, her intellectual capacity, her ability to express and build structure and ideas, which is also a part of her expressing her own divine masculine nature. And again, this is coming forth from let go of time, I would say, and also time to let go into full expression and being able to express ourselves intellectually and emotionally and intuitively, and in this we become truly conscious co-creators. Okay, so I am glad that this has come round this way. Now, I did then go and select a card, from the top of the deck for the Divine Masculine, but I wanted to share how these energies are working today together. So I see here that the Divine Masculine in current energies and the Divine Feminine is probably sensing this. The flow of movement is from here to here, where he has the freedom to lift off and fly and explore what's in his true nature, to co-create and explore all aspects of himself. And so this is a beautiful reflection of this. You can see that we have the top hat here and the top hat here, and the beautiful flowing, you can see the movements. They're very, very well mirroring of each other. The flowing hair, long and tethered here, and the beautiful freely flowing hair of the sacred feminine and she in this, the union card. Now, we can also see here that we have always connected, and there is more mirroring in this card, where we can see again the balance happening between divine feminine and divine masculine and source in union. The rhythms are very, very clear here visually, and very beautiful and very necessary in the journey. And I would add to this, if I have enough fingers and toes, as it were, we have this happening as well. So source energy is supporting the divine masculine in his exploration of all aspects of himself and planting those seeds. And source is also saying all is connected in terms of the divine feminine, and both divine feminine and divine masculine missions, blueprints for missions, the structures in spirit that are available for them to come forward and bring their mission work into reality in the 5D and above love dimension. Okay, so I just think this is such a beautiful expression. All right. We have this here, and we're going to go back here, and then I am going to just bring forward the one card that I drew of the Animal Spirit Oracle deck, which turned out to be Frog Spirit. And this is a beautiful reflection of the current energies of the Divine Masculine. This frog is the cleanser, it is the rainmaker, it is the nimble groundwater amphibian that lives under the water, so it is comfortable with being in the watery realm of emotion, and it is very, very powerful in the land aspect of its life, and it has an amazing, powerful voice with which to broadcast its frequency and its information. And I'm being drawn here once again to this relationship of frog spirit that is encouraging the divine feminine to clear out the clutter and continue on with her purification process at every level, atomic, molecular, cellular, genetic, body systems, all the way through up into the etheric level, which is where many divine feminines and divine masculines are connecting now. They have fully merged in their etheric level. And so they are connecting. And when I say that what you feel and think as divine feminine is going to be transmitted and broadcast to your divine masculine when you have come into etheric union. And you are going to feel and think what he feels and thinks, and he is going to feel and think what you feel and think. And so learning how to work with your subtle energy body so that those communications remain clear and open, and those channels are clear and open, so that the communication stays fluid and in movement and doesn't become static and doesn't take you into separation that you can't become aware of and instantly recognize as a dynamic within the dynamic of the sacred union in between divine and masculine feminine energies, that you as divine feminine can take absolute accountability and responsibility for what you are feeling and thinking and knowing, and bringing it back into the heart space, into trust, and making sure that you are anchoring through compare and contrast, using your discernment in your amphibious embodiment, where you're comfortable also with being in the water in deep emotion, but also able to operate on land, earth, fire, air. Okay, so that is the reading for today. I do want to invite you again. I will be posting a notice about our first Sacred Union webinar, and this webinar will include accounts of from our personal lives, but it's also going to include processes and ways of approaching the work that have been extremely valuable for myself and my colleagues, for clients and students who have been doing this work with me, some for many, many years. And it's important to understand that the sacred union activities, the ascension activities, are ongoing. And many of us, as I mentioned before, are now in our soul collective energy, and we are working together to strengthen our union, to strengthen our co-creative missions and co-creative capacity within our soul groups. And this is important work that we're doing. And we all can help support one another and understand the incredible, unique variety of our sacred union missions. Mine happens to be deeply embedded in the world of art, in the world of spirit, in the world of healing, and in the world of communication. And I have a lot of experience and expertise around this. But equally as valuable is any other form of expression that is about bringing the whole human collective back into its divine blueprint of source-sparked divine wholeness, going home. So I encourage you to watch this probably more than once, and to check out the Patreon page. I do want to thank you so much for watching this channel and supporting it. It's brand new. This was not an aspect of work I thought I would be doing, but Source has asked me, Gaia has asked me, to reach people in this way if I can, with a slightly different perspective than the perspectives you're going to find about your process through the lens of astrology or through the lens of traditional tarot. So also a shout out to all the people on YouTube who do provide information for those who are not yet fully grounded in their own internal central bliss channel and direct knowing. It's an important bridge for us to be able to get information somehow. The difficulty becomes, how do we discern? How do we discern and mature and really look through that information and be able to feel whether or not it is something that we need to take in or whether it is something we need to pass us by. So it's another conversation for another day, but thank you very much for watching today.